St. Kitts. Good evening, Nevis.
It is a historic moment for St. Kitts and Nevis.
Special good night to those radio listeners, those viewing on television, and those following us via the internet.
And one of the things that I would like to see established is
welcome to another edition of the Round Table. In this program, we will continue our discussion on sports development in the Federation. The last time we were here, the overarching theme brought out the relevance of sports to the development of a nation and the challenges involved in funding sporting ventures, whether it is homegrown or a major sports event. To further the discourse on this topic, I have invited Mr. Jeffrey Pedro Hazel, who comes to us as the Director of Sports, Dr. Patrick Martin, Chief Medical Officer, stepping up to the plate as the pinch hitter tonight. I don't know what you call that in cricket, because most people are not familiar with the the 12th man? No, you got to be more important than the 12th man tonight. Next to me is Mr. Robert Jeffers, who is Secretary of the Leeward Islands Cricket Board and also Assistant Secretary of the St. Kitts Cricket Association. And of course, we have the steady batting. Notice I didn't say slow, I said steady. Batting of Mr. Victor Eddy, former St. Kitts Leeward Islands and Combined Islands all-rounder. Now, it's not usual that we use a disclaimer for absent guests, but I would like to apologize on behalf of Brenda Allen, national volleyball player and executive member of the SKN Volleyball Association. Brenda, of course, as you know, was in St. Eustatius representing St. Kitts in a volleyball tournament and only arrived home today. Regarding guests from the sister island of Nevis, since we've had questions about that, we've made numerous attempts to confirm guests from the sports department and various disciplines without any luck. However, we will continue to engage our friends in Nevis as we think that this discourse or any discourse concerning the Federation is important to them. Tonight we're going to get started on this 2-hour drive. We're going to allow callers to join us a little bit later in the show, and we'll provide you with that number. But I'm going to start with Mr. Pedro Hazel, who is the Director of Sports here in St. Kitts. And my question is, what are some of the ways that we can integrate sports in our development agenda, considering how important sports is? I mean, we see what's going on with the CPL, the World Cup just concluded, and I mean, we've had so much interest locally here in St. Kitts.
Good night, Monarch and fellow panelists, those looking at this program, those listening. Quite happy to be here this evening to participate in this discourse on the sports development here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Today, sports emerges as an important component of the socio-economic development of the country. The active participation in sports improves community health, productivity, reduces medical expenses, develops discipline and character, and enhances social cohesion. The execution of any mega sporting event helps in developing infrastructure in the country, generating employment, of course, securing inflow of foreign capital, and thus contribute to the economic development of the country. Therefore, sport is said to be multidimensional. And because of those few reasons, few factors, we see sports as the driving factor, one of those driving factors to develop our society. The government, of course, plays its role in the promotion of sports in the country. Government and the governmental organizations, we constitute the public sector of the sport industry. And we're responsible for making sports policies, allocating grants for development infrastructure, nurturing multi-talents, and designing special programs for the overall development of sports.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pedro. And let me go to Victor Eddie. Now, you've played cricket at a time when I could say, people went out to watch the local cricketers. And, I mean, you've made it all the way to the top, except the West Indies team, which, I mean, that's a whole other show. But what do you think? I mean, looking back on the days that, you've played the game, what do you think in terms of cricket being integrated in our development agenda? How different it is now to when you played the game of cricket?
Well, pleasant good evening, Mr. Clement Tagaro, and thank you once again for inviting me to another roundtable discussion, and such an important one as this, and also to our viewers and listeners throughout the world. And to fellow panelists, a pleasant good evening to one and all. Well, cricket in the era that I played was totally different to now in many ways, in terms of rules and regulations, and the laws have changed over the years. And also too now, the sport itself has gone into 3 different aspects, whereby you have test match cricket, which is a 5 days duration, which is still the originality and the testing ground for cricketers, in my view. And then there is the 50 overs contest, and now even more excitingly for spectators is the 2020 version of cricket. So the transformation in cricket has really gone to a broader aspect in that sense. But in the era that I played in, the cricket within itself, within each Leeward Islands, in terms of the club structures and the whole organization system then of club structures, was very integral in terms of enhancing productivity in cricket and for cricketers in the various territories. Well, that has gone to an extreme low, especially here in the Leeward Islands, whereby we can even get closer to our own St. Kitts when there were clubs well known like the renowned St. Christopher, St. George's, Progressive, and so on. And that is why it is very important that we have documentation of our historical perspective of all sports in terms of our nation going forward. Because I am of the view that a nation's history is a nation's wealth. And all aspiring athletes in the various disciplines must know or have an understanding of where it all came from, and who were the founding fathers, who were the martyrs that laid the foundations in the various sports. And then also in a broader spectrum, it can be input into all the school's curriculums as a historical perspective of all sporting disciplines, that is under one umbrella, on possibly a site that can be created historically, which can be a sports-oriented site. And I think that is very relevant at this present moment for the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis.
Thank you very much. I think you brought out some interesting points there. I mean, going from back in the day when you play. So we heard it from the players' perspective. Now we can go to the executive. Mr. Jeffers, you wear 2 hats, the St. Kitts Cricket Association and also the Leeward Islands Cricket Association. I mean, in your estimation, as an official of those organizations, how does cricket play a part in our development agenda as it relates to sports?
First of all, Mr. Garrow, let me thank you for inviting me to be a part of this panel. And good evening to our viewers and to my fellow panelists. Clement, I would like to state that cricket now offers an avenue for people to earn money. It offers a livelihood. Unlike when Victor played, he did it for the fun of the game. Now it's all money oriented. Just to give an example, for example, if a player is representing Leeward Islands in a 4-day tournament match, he receives $1,300 US per match. $1,300 per match. When he make not, he get no wicket, he receives money. So there's a chance of making a livelihood from cricket. And I'd like to fall on later on to tell you that, for example, the West Indies Cricket Board is now developing within all of the 6 member territories of the West Indies Cricket Board. Each territory have a franchise, not the CPL franchise, but a franchise with each of those associations, where people will be paid to play cricket. Right now, the Leeward Islands Cricket Board has become incorporated, and we'll have to form a subsidiary company to manage the affairs of liquor. And in that franchise, there will be people being paid to play cricket, which will return to later on to give you how they're going to be set up, the mechanics of it. But to follow on to what Victor said, as a young man, I tried my hand at the game. I wasn't very good, but I tried my hand at the game. I know my chief of police one time, I tried to keep. And my chief of police then Lynch Wade said it was like a secretary, that everything passed through me. So I was behind the stump, but the ball kept passing me. So I get a long stop, easy to me. I was like a secretary, everything passed through me. You know, but in those days, Mr. O'Gara, the clubs that played came from different villages around St. Kitts. So the village, like, had ownership of the clubs. Correct. Unfortunately, that's a disintegrated. For example, you see it in football nowhere, Connery, St. Paul's, and the villages owned, the community, not really, the community owned had ownership of the clubs. Yep. That has now gone. Cricket, and because of that, the cricket had deteriorated very badly. And cricket is one of the sport where you alone cannot play. You can take a football, go and kick it around. You can take a basketball and shoot hoops, but you alone can't play cricket. You cannot play cricket. Don't know how one man can play. Try to play cricket if you're practicing with a ball on a string, trying to play the swinging ball by hitting the ball. That's the only way you can play. Otherwise than that, one man, not 2 people can play cricket. So it's not a very easy sport to play. And I tell you, Mr. O'Gara, it is very expensive nowadays to play cricket. Sure. Equipment costs a lot of money. But in terms of, and again, sport as a whole, it's a tool for the development of the individuals. In addition to making a livelihood, you deal with holistic development of the person. And in today's day, where we have young persons, we criticize for being involved in antisocial behavior. But we can use sport as a vehicle to develop these young people and get them away from these antisocial behavior attitudes. Because we criticize the young people, but I feel that if you criticize, we must all give them another alternative. And we feel one alternative for that could be sport.
Okay, thank you very much. And Dr. Martin, you're coming in as the pinch hitter, so you don't usually come in the first inning. So I don't know if I can consider this the 4th inning, but your thoughts as well on the integration of sports in the development agenda for a nation such as St. Kitts Nevis.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation to return. And good evening to everyone and the listeners. Well, we are a small island developing state. Development requires people power, healthy, creative, energetic, passionate, disciplined people. The German football team showed us that the other night. And as a long-suffering Brazilian fan, I must tell you that Brazil was beaten by Brazilian football played by the Germans.
Not sure what that means.
Very creative, energetic, passionate, disciplined. Sports help to cultivate all of those aforementioned attributes of a person. So this makes sport intracurricular and not extracurricular. So I believe as we continue to re-engineer our school system to make this country, the smallest country in the Western Hemisphere, has to be the most competitive. Because there is no sympathy for you because you're from a small island or a small country. Especially since we put Kim Collins, when Kim Collins won the gold medal at the World Championships, everything changed. Because it showed that smallness was not a hindrance. And it also showed that we can compete. And so nobody is in a frame of mind now to give us handouts so that we can beat their people at track and field, football and cricket. When West Indies cricket was in its heyday, people studied us and then came up with a formula to break us. And that was one bouncer per over. And the other piece of the formula was to restrict access to the English county game.
County cricket.
Because we have to admit, although we had the talent, the raw talent, it's the English county game that honed our professionalism.
Yeah.
So when the other boys realized what was happening, they closed those gates. And it's been downhill in cricket on the international level. We are struggling now to beat New Zealand, with all due respects to New Zealand. Struggling now to beat New Zealand. But I have the formula for getting back up. If you ask me for it, I'll give it to you. So as we re-engineer our school system, we are looking towards 2025 and beyond the type of citizen we would like to see. Because by that time, all of us would be in a rocking chair or two, rocking. Except Pedro, he's still 20. And along with, we cannot dispense with the reading, writing, and arithmetic. We cannot dispense. Those are fundamental core subjects. We now have to add a foreign language because of the hemisphere in which we live and the world in which we live. With 1/4 of the world's population speaking Chinese, we better get with the program. And some of our young people have gotten the program. But we have to envelop that with civics, not physics, civics. Huh? Physics is important, but civics. And performing arts, creative arts, physical activity. I think that makes for a less crowded school curriculum, and children and parents who will not be beleaguered, haggard, battered and bruised by a test of standards. And these children will then emerge into high school as more well-rounded citizens of a country that has a plan for them. And so there is no doubt in my mind, and I sense from colleagues at the round table, that whatever we have to do we must do to make sure that sport, meaning physical activity, is a fundamental part of the development of our young people, and not so young people like Victor, Eddie, and myself, for the betterment of the country.
Thank you very much. And you guys, of course, can jump in at any time. So, Vic, go ahead, and then we're going to hear from Mr. Jeffers.
Yes.
Robert, not Jeffers.
Dr. Martin.
Patrick.
You see, that's what happens.
So we're going to just informalize
I have a Brazilian name too, but I'm not going to tell you.
All right. We're on morning. Okay. Yes.
You guys want to hear my answer?
Well, yes, then fellow panelists and viewers, Patrick, that is, to my left, he made some very valuable points, and I want to touch firstly on the schools system federation, because as he quite rightly has just mentioned, and I will share those same sentiments or endorsements, that we have to go back to all areas of all the sporting disciplines, whereby I know some teachers would have some concerns about what I will actually be saying, because I figure in some physical activity in various disciplines, the teachers may be asked to do other duties beyond their normal working hours. But if we can get to that pinnacle whereby you probably have a games master appointed to what it was, classes or the school overall? Classes?
School overall.
School overall, a games master. I think that could reignite a lot of rebuilding and reconstruction in the way forward, because there is where everything starts. And for cricket, where everyone know I'll have more passion for, I could remember comprehensively at primary schools level, there used to be a competition amongst all the schools for cricket. Last day boys schools against the Irish Town, Newtown against the Village.
But is that not happening now?
No, I'm not saying that.
We reintroduced it.
I'm not saying that it is not happening.
Yes.
I've reignited what happened of the past. That is why the documentation historically is going to be very important in the way going forward. And many of us, both in St. Kitts and Nevis, will have to sit around another round table and compile this perspective, because a nation's history is a nation's wealth. And the school systems, once we can get it right on both islands, I think we can see a different elevation in us coming back to status in all sporting disciplines. But what I will also like to recall right now too, for all other athletes of all other disciplines, in both federations, to come a little closer, even though you might not be a qualified coach, but to share your practical experiences, what you have had probably as a cricketer when you're out in the middle, how probably you organized or went about organizing an innings as a batsman, and share it with some of the cricketers that you see have the ability and have the interest to play the sport. I find a lot of former athletes in all the sporting disciplines keep a great distance away and not get close enough. You don't necessarily have to be a qualified coach, but at least you can have enough information to share with a young batsman, for example, and tell him, well, if you do so and so more likely can be the results. And I think,
and even though Vic, even though I'm hearing you, I know the West Indies board have tried that over time, and I don't know, I can't say that it has brought us much success, but I'm going to let Robert weigh in on this, and then we're going to go to you, Pedro, because as the director of sports, I'm sure you can give us some light on some of the what's happening currently that people may not necessarily know about.
Okay, let me say this. I totally agree with Patrick in terms of the education. It is important, and if you have a lot of sporting talent, but not have the education to back it up, you may not be eligible for scholarship. Because even at the university level, you must have the educational criteria in order to get a scholarship. Now, to come out to what Victor said, I remember as a little boy, which was many, many years ago, in the school, the high schools, you had a games master who responded for organizing games. You had inter-house matches where one house played the other in school. So any given afternoon, you had house match and they were well attended. I don't see that happening anymore. As a matter of fact, it just early this week, I was speaking with Mr. Hector, who's the president of LICA and the former president of the SKCA before he became president of LICA.
Sorry, that will be Mr. Auckland.
Mr. Auckland, yes, a former cricketer.
Yes.
And what he mentioned to me was he was approaching the SKCA about having the schools and colleges reintegrated back into the SKCA senior competition. Mm-hmm. In days gone by as a young man, I played against grammar school with people like Bridgewater, Sam Franks and those guys. As a matter of fact, Bridgewater made this thing, he said, Pauline's going to school. There's a young fellow from senior high school by the name of Steele. It was a fastball he was going to senior school, he made the team. And just onto what is happening in terms of being able to make a living from sport. About 2 or 3 weeks ago at the most, there was an assessment camp held here in St. Kitts by the coach from the Cambrian colleges and campuses cricket team. We were looking at the young talent within the Leeward Islands Association. You must be either in college or about to enter college. So you had to present your certificates. But what is happening is this, that if you were successful in that camp, you have an opportunity of getting a 4-year scholarship to University of the West Indies to pursue a degree course in whatever you want. In addition, that you can play cricket for the University of the West Indies. So the opportunity is opening up where people can make a living and at the same time get up to an education from playing cricket, which was different when Victor was there. So that's one thing that's happening in terms of development of cricket within the Leeward Islands. And I'll have more to say later on how we are trying to develop cricket in the Leewards, particularly for young people.
All right, Pedro, hold on 1 second. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back. And don't forget, callers, we're expecting you to join us a little bit later on the round table. The number is 466-2666. But we're going to take a break now and we'll come back with more of the round table.
Want to get the latest news and information on demand? Check out ZIZonline.com. Our website is updated daily to bring you all the latest local, regional, and international news. Gone abroad and miss home? Check out ZIZonline.com for our live streams and uploaded local content. We're also on Facebook. Like our page and receive photos, info, and updates directly on your newsfeed. Living on the go? Then our new mobile website can work for you. Visit ZIZonline.com and get all the information you need on your phone's browser. ZIZonline.com, reaching you wherever you are.
Save our island. It's our responsibility. Save our island. Protect our rivers and the sea. Let us keep our country really looking good so we can sustain our livelihood. Save our island. Protect our natural beauty. Save our island. That's what's best for you and best for me. Save our island. It's our responsibility. Save our island. Protect our rivers and the sea. Save our island. Let us work together to maintain our environment. Ask your member of parliament about the St. George's Declaration. It's the guide to a better quality of life, and you can make a difference starting now. Save our island. Protect our natural beauty. Save our island. That's what's best for you and best for me. Save our island.
I made a stupid mistake.
See where it's now landed me.
My baby's now behind bars.
Feels forgotten by society.
It's time for us to make a change. Us make a change. Juvenile Justice Reform Project. All of us make a change.
Make a change.
Instead of incarceration, y'all, let's try diversion, reform, rehabilitation.
Our youth needs a second chance beyond bars.
A world that accepts them with open arms.
It's nice to know that you're here.
Just know that we care.
This time we'll do our part.
Let's all make a fresh start.
It's time for us to make a change.
Let's make a change. Juvenile Justice Reform Project. All of us make a change.
Make a change.
The Juvenile Justice Reform Project, a new path to changing lives for good, funded by USAID and the OECS Secretariat.
welcome back. And as I said, we're going to go straight to Pedro, who wanted to weigh in on some of the discussion that was going on around the table.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. O'Gara. You mentioned earlier about the primary school cricket. Yes, we introduced the primary school cricket this year, and of course it was won by the St. Paul's Primary, so congrats to them. It's still not what we were looking for in terms of the competition, but we had to start somewhere. We had to start the cricket somewhere. We find that a lot of our kids are in tune to football, and we are neglecting cricket because we're not seeing it as much being played here in Ireland. From the primary school, you go straight into the high schools and colleges competition. This is sponsored by Giant Malt, and it's a federal competition. As you know, we only have 8 secondary schools, so we add the classified Bryan College.
Yeah.
And we compete with an already packed school curriculum. So we have to juggle here and there so that we can get the competitions in. And as Patrick said earlier, we have to change that somehow. People have to change their mindset and say, hey, we must have physical activity for our kids. If we don't, if we sit in a classroom all day and our kids are not getting the physical activity that they need, they're going to be out of sync. And we want to get them back in tune in all sports and physical activity. Now, it was mentioned also that a school team or school-based team should participate in the cricket league, and that is a very, very good suggestion. But the same school kids are currently playing for the club teams. So you find someone from the Basti High School, you see him looking very good in the Giant Malts competition, and Len Harris Cricket Academy is going to want him, Conway is going to want him, Molyneux is going to want him. So we do not have a lot of persons being playing cricket, and I think because, one, the availability of gears, they are too expensive, and two, we're not seeing enough cricket being played locally, regionally, or internationally. Our football channels are showing football, the American-based sports, or even right now on Channel 3, which I find to be a little bit ridiculous. I'm seeing Australian rugby every day. So that's what our kids are seeing. So what you see, you're going to venture in.
Cool. Let me say something very quickly, O'Gara. What the St. Kitts Cricket Association did last season, an effort to improve upon the quality of cricket, we recognize that the club structure is very weak. You had a set of people coming together and the competition was not meaningful. What we did then was we started to restructure the cricket. And what we did then was to move away from the club structure. And we did a zonal thing where we took the west zone, which probably from boys down to, we had the central is Bastia, east, which is from Kearney over to Molyneux, St. Paul's with that side, and the academy, which is our young people. We put those together and called it Premier Division, which was the association of the SKCA. So the club did not have to pay to enter the competition. That was a competition which was sponsored, thankfully, by the St. Kitts Nevis Development Bank. That was sponsored by that bank. So at the Premier League, where we brought the best players in St. Kitts from all the zone playing against each other. That was the strength in cricket. Then we had we went back now. After that was done, those were 2-day matches. After that competition was finished, we went back to the senior division, which was what we call the first class, and we went back to the regional, the regional clubs like Keon, Molyneux, Newtown, and that type of thing. That was 50 over cricket. And then we had the junior division where they played 30 over cricket. In the senior division, we had 4 teams. Sorry, the Premier Division, we had 4 teams. In the senior division, we had 17 registered, but 2 of them dropped out, so we left with 5. And we had about 8 in the junior division, which was eventually Molyneux won the senior division, and Hinsmith won the junior division. So we started strengthening the cricket. We have the best playing against the best. So that's why we moved from trying to zone it and had the best playing against the best. And hopefully, we can now get the schools involved. And to follow what Pedro said, that we have some young fellows who are playing the whole thing. So what we can do, we can put those young fellas with the academy team. You know, and I think once you leave school, I think for 2 years after you leave school, you can play for the academy team. After they drop out, so they should be feeder from this up to the academy team. We can have our young players playing cricket. So you finish school, 2 years after school, you can still be the academy. After that, you have to transition out to another team. So there's no leaves a vacuum which can be filled by people coming up from the age group tournament.
Go ahead, Vic. I'm going to give you a short shift on this one, and then we're going to move on to another area that I want to touch on tonight.
Yes, and Mr. Jeffers brought out some very important aspects of what the St. Kitts Cricket Association has done in terms of the transformation of how the system of cricket runs now in St. Kitts. And many persons in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Mr. Jeffers, is asking the question also too, if both cricket associations, St. Kitts and Nevis, are in conversation about reintroducing the Beryl Howell Trophy series between St. Kitts and Nevis, which is always
trying to bring back some memories.
Well, not just memories in terms of what is being played now. When persons excel to the higher levels, that they must have a foundation to start from.
Yeah, and I definitely
we can move on probably.
But I definitely agree with you. I mean, you know, and hey, I mean, I'm a huge cricket fan as well. I still follow cricket.
Just to jump in briefly on what you said pertaining to the TDC Beveridge Howell.
Yeah.
As part of the Cultural Mafati activities, the Department of Sports on both islands, we are organizing a 2020 match, St. Kitts versus Nevis.
Home and away?
Yes, home and away. And then we're going to do one here for our independence celebration. So that is in itself trying to bring back the Beveridge Howell cricket competition. We're trying to probably dub it as across the waters or across the narrows, something, you know, to bring back this.
Okay, go ahead, Darryl.
I think this is very good news because I share the horror of Pedro that our basic television is showing sports that are not culturally appropriate. As a matter of fact, I'm beginning to be concerned if this is not a plan. Because I cannot.
Are you saying that this is an infiltration by the media?
I tell you, guys were able to study West Indies cricket and find a formula for its decline.
Right. But we've had some successes in the opposite direction.
If you channel surf right now, Australian rules rugby, football, poker,
darts.
But that brings
ice hockey,
darts.
on the television system of a tropical country.
Okay.
So is this by accident or is this by design? And I trained in science, I have to be inquisitive because once again, some people are not happy when teams or athletes from small, predominantly black countries, could you handle that? Beat them at the world stage.
Right.
Can you handle that one?
Okay. Because
is that a Stephen R. Smith commentary?
For example, then to continue there, Doctor, is the gold medal with the javelin, where the European.
Well, here's the point I'm trying to. Well, the point I hope I didn't get carried away with making that point. But if we want young people to play more cricket, you have to show them cricket.
Of course.
That's right.
That means they have to watch more ZIZ Channel 5.
True, you know. And,
as you know, we're the official rights holder for the CPL.
So
we're broadcasting the home series.
So a lot of cricket will be played between now and Independence.
Correct. Yeah.
Once in the middle of the hurricane season, which is a bit brave. But at least it's worth a try, and to expose the young people to cricket. It's a very, very good thing. Very, very good thing. So I support that, but let us work on getting some more culturally appropriate sports on the local television.
Okay. So, let me just we're gonna move now, because I mean, as you guys can tell, sports is viewed in a very, very broad sense. Incorporated into this, the definition of sports are all forms of physical activity that contribute to physical fitness, mental well-being, and social interaction. So I'm going to go back to the doctor, since we're talking about mental wellness or mental well-being when it comes to sports. I mean, how does this work? If I'm crazy, and I think that's what mental mean, how does sports make me not crazy?
Well, let me see if I don't know about you, but you know, I'm still in the World Cup mode. I was actually looking for a game today, you know. But for the last 30 days, we saw people leave blood and skin on the grass of the various stadia of Brazil. We saw people, Schweinsteiger from Germany, you know, take a punch below the eye and get stitched up at the sideline without anesthesia, come back on. We saw people singing their national anthem as if it was the last song they will ever sing. National anthem and tears coming down their eyes and stuff like that. I think the way in which Argentinians handled their national anthem was spectacular. Yeah. So this is about love of country, inculcating that value, team spirit. You know, all the teams during the national anthems, they, you know,
embrace.
Except Argentina, they tended to be standing by themselves, at attention. Hardly anybody chewing gum during the national anthem. Focused, some singing, some not singing, but that's okay. But focused. You punch one of my guys, other guys come in to defend and attack. You know, so it can get a little crazy. Some people take it to the extreme. I understand there was some rioting in Buenos Aires and other places.
No, that's expected.
Okay.
I spent time there and got an opportunity to see soccer at the Bombonera, and it's a riotous place.
So there's the national pride, there's the personal pride, there's the community pride, your family pride. There is a YouTube video of Fernandinho of Brazil and Manchester City. Mm-hmm. It's on YouTube. I want to recommend that people watch that, and you can see how a whole family and community rallied around this guy as he moved from his local football academy where he had to stay. He was there between ages 13 and 17, and a professional team in Rio tried to grab him, and the academy said, nope. We have the legal rights to this guy. Mm-hmm. So, you know, this thing about schoolboys playing outside of the school team is totally ridiculous. I mean, if you're a schoolboy, you're playing for your school. Don't care how good you are. So you saw this guy's family and community rally around him, helping to lift him up because he came from some difficult circumstances. So yeah, it's about mindset shaping sports. It's a necessary subject. Not necessary. Let's take it up. An essential subject in the socialization of young people, and will make them better citizens. Some of the recent activities of the fringe element in our country bring to bear the need for some more socialization of of our young people, which they are not getting in their homes. And we have to put this on the table. Some people get some values training just by being part of the football, cricket, track and field, volleyball, golf team. And there are persons who, and I hope one or two persons, and boxing, let's say boxing just in case. And I hope there are persons out there who are calling and said, to testify what their involvement in sport, cadets, boys brigade, pathfinders, did for them that their busy parents did not do. And that would help to make the point as to how important this thing is, and that the school curriculum has to make way for sport.
Correct. And well, let me before we go to you, Robert, let me go to Vic, because we're talking about a very important part of sports. Playing cricket, you played at the very top level. Everybody knew that in 1978 you should have been, I don't know what year it was, 1978 you should have been in India. For whatever reason, with the West Indies team that is, for whatever reason you didn't go. But you played at the highest level with all the top cricketers, not only just here in the West Indies, but you had an opportunity to play against some of the overseas teams as well. How did that help you and transform your life into making you not go astray? I know you had a father who do that, keep you there, but for you personally?
Well, you started, the last part is the correct part.
You had no choice. You had no choice.
Austin Alvin had relayed that to us. And I can say it here that, and it's for the public to know that my mother also, Kathleen, deceased, and when Austin recognized that I had a passion also for cricket, he sat me down one day and said to me that, Victor, you'll have to understand this, and your mother, Kathleen, can tell you this, that when I played cricket and Leeward Islands cricket tournament, we did not sleep in the same bed. Anyway, but really, that parental guidance, though, I think that was the cornerstone of my career. And that's beyond any doubt, because my father, he understood cricket blindfoldedly. And when he played, many who saw him as an off-spinner said that he's the greatest off-spinner they have seen. The late, great Leonard Tim Hector of Antigua and Barbuda, he said that to me, and many others who saw him. Because it was said, and that is why the history is important, not just for cricket, but even for people to know that my father set one man on the offside, all the others were on the onside, and he clean bowled the great Sir Everton Weekes, who many still consider as the greatest of the three W's.
Exactly. See why we need that.
I heard that one.
Yes, and we need that. But in terms of the way forward, and I will come to it after Mr. Jeffers, we are here at this round table, and we are talking about cricket, not cricket, sports development in the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis. But the government must play a big role, and I will have an input as what I think part of that role should be.
Okay, so let's go to
Patrick.
Robert.
Thank you, Manak. Patrick spoke about toughness, the mental state. I don't think you're talking about a crazy man. You're talking about you going and being mentally tough. You're there playing cricket and you're scoring and a fellow want to knock off your head. Bouncing, knock off your head. And anybody been struck with a cricket ball knows how hard it hits. I remember years ago, I think in 1966, Brian Close came back to play for England. And there's a famous picture of him taking off his shirt, and he's all battered and blue, brown and blue from
1984, 76.
He's all battered from holding the ground.
76 in the Gravel Series.
Yeah, they have that all battered. You hear about sledging. When you go to the pitch nowadays to bat, the fielders are around you, giving you all kind of old talk and that kind of thing, trying to break your concentration. But you have to be mentally tough to look beyond that. If you watch cricket very closely, when a fast bowler bowls and you hit him or he beats you, he gives you some talk. Something you can't repeat off the ear, but he gives you a lot of lip. But you have to mentally tough to block that out of your mind. Even you're playing, you get beaten with one ball. You put that out of your mind, you get ready for the next one. So you have to be mentally tough, and that helps to build character. So I think that's what Pat will allude to when you talk about the mental side, make you mentally tough. You get hit, fellas get hit. And they call for the spray, and they gone back to bat. You can't get and then put the bat in like a little girl and run up. No disrespect to the lady. Put it like a little girl and run up the pavilion and get hit and they're going to sit down. No, you have to tough it out. So that's where the mental aspect comes in helping to build character.
Good. Yes, you have to be a Viv Richards. But never put that helmet on.
But then, one of the things
one
of the things that is very important when it comes to mental toughness is it has to do with self-talk. You must be able to talk to yourself and say, hey.
Self-motivation.
Yes, you have to do it first. Even if you look in a mirror, only one person you're going to see yourself. Mm-hmm. So you must be able to talk to yourself, hey, this ball is going to be played here, come on. I have to get myself together again, pull yourself together. And that's what the father of Serena and Venus Williams did throughout the years, and that is why they were so dominant. Right now they're going down, they plateau a little bit, but they continue to be dominant for so many years. Now, I personally wasn't and still isn't a good player, football that is, but I told myself, hey, if Patrick is coming by me with a ball, if he comes with 25 balls, I'm going to take away 24. The 25th one he's going to give me. You know why? I've taken away 24. He's going to be scared. And that is what we have to get in our players' minds today. You find people talking about sports psychologists now. I think the greatest one we had in the West Indies, in this part of the world, was Dr. Rudy Webster. And after Dr. Rudy Webster, we have Australians, we have New Zealand. So we are not developing that here in our little corners, here in St. Kitts Nevis, in the region as well. So that is something that, you know, young sportsmen and women can make a career of, and they should venture along that path.
Yeah. Okay, while sports and play are repeatedly acknowledged as a human right, they're not always seen as a priority and have even been called the forgotten right. And this is something that I was reading coming from the United Nations Task Force. I mean, how do we change that? How do we get people to see that? I mean, you know, this is a human right. This can, I mean, we can feel proud of our country if we have more Kim Collins, or in Nevis if they have more Keith Athertons or Elkomida Willett. I mean,
I think the rights approach to sport emerged because of the policies of some countries that denied women access to sport. And so the strategy is to frame it as a human right within the United Nations construct, develop a framework for it, and then have people endorse same way in which to fight against doping in sport. Same strategy. All right. And at first glance, when I read that, I said, this does not apply to St. Kitts and Nevis.
I know, because I was just about to ask that question. How is that relevant to us?
But I am seeing some persons use religious denomination as, in my estimation, as an obstacle to prevent primary school children from participating in sports on a certain day of the week, whatever day you want to pick.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I know.
And I had to ask myself, well, why is it you can't display your God-given talent on one of God's days? So I'm waiting, you know, to be engaged in a discussion under the breadfruit tree on that issue. So I'm happy that this rights approach is coming up, because I think we have to engage persons who may be putting their own attitudes to understanding of the Bible in the way of some talented and passionate young people. Our country is 50,000 small. We must have all of the talent available. I mean, I understand the importance of of going to prayer meeting and stuff like that, but man, you know, everything has its time and place. You know, if the kid is a great discus thrower and can win the gold medal for the primary school, the prayer meeting should wait. That was an actual example.
Well, yeah, and I mean, going back to a couple of years, I mean, I think this is an important important part of our discussion, because going back to a couple of years ago, I know there was a controversy with the Milo inter-school primary, where the Seventh-day Adventists they had an issue with the Seventh-day Adventists, I guess taking part on, as you say, on a God-given day. On a God-given
Saturday sports.
Because every day is
given. I don't want this discussion to descend into an anti.
No, absolutely.
That's not your intent.
Absolutely not.
That's not your intent.
Not my intention at all. But as I said, I think,
the real issue.
We have to know. Look, we live in a global environment. And so we have to take all these things into consideration. I mean, you mentioned before how dominant we were in cricket and how people, the other teams, I guess, and also officials, found ways to slow us down to a crawl to where, it seems as if that we're not going to be able to...
But here's the point. Suppose, our school system is our feeder program. We don't have the luxury of having college-based athletics. And we will never. So we're going to get our best talent coming through our school system. What if I have a school and I have a religious school and my Sabbath is Friday, but some of the best potential cricket talent is in my school? I can't.
And matches are played on Friday.
I can't supply the national team with the talent because I have told them and their parents, you can't play on Friday.
That is
sounds like an interesting topic.
It is
another show.
Oh, it is very interesting because it happens.
Anyway, we're going to take a break from the roundtable discussion. Very interesting discourse so far. And when we come back, we're going to take your calls. The number, again, is 466-2666, and we want you to share your ideas with us, as it relates to sports development in our federation, regardless to what discipline you want to talk about. Once that is done, we're going to look at the, I know we did this in the last program, but we're going to look at the economic benefits of sport. We've had a lot of major tournaments as it relates to cricket. We have some football coming up. We have a lot of stuff. So, we're going to look at the economic benefits as well, and community development also as part of that package. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back at the roundtable.
SwiftPack is here, the premier shopping and shipping service tailored to Caribbean customers. SwiftPack Courier Service, offering same-day and next-day services in the Caribbean and the USA. SwiftPack Air Cargo Service, with daily reliable service throughout the Eastern Caribbean. SwiftPack Baggage Express Service to Caribbean airports, fast, reliable, and economical. SwiftPack e-shopping service, offering personalized wholesale and retail shopping and online shopping at your convenience. And SwiftPack US mailbox services to accommodate and move your online purchases fast and at the best available prices. At SwiftPack, we ship by air and by ocean, from the smallest item to full container loads with state-of-the-art tracking. Visit our website at www.swiftpack.com. SwiftPack, send it fast.
Visit our St. Kitts SwiftPack locations at Rosemary Lane, Bastia, or Mount Idle, Sandy Point, or the Henvilles Building in Charlestown, Nevis. Call us today at 466-8703 or 466-8704 or 469-8703.
The government of St. Kitts and Nevis recently passed legislation that reduces the time limits for residency applications for non-nationals working in St. Kitts and Nevis. Nationals from non-OECS countries who have resided in St. Kitts and Nevis and have had valid work permits for the last 3 years are now eligible for annual residency in St. Kitts and Nevis. Annual residency removes the need for annual work permits for these individuals. No changes have been made to the residency requirements for citizenship. For more information regarding this initiative, visit the Ministry of Homeland Security office in Port St. St. Kitts or call 467-1209 for more information. The Ministry of Homeland Security, doing its part in support of regional integration.
And as I said, we've been having a really interesting discussion tonight, and we're going to have the callers join us. The number again is 466-2666, and it looks like what we're going to do is let's go to Robert. And he, as I said, he's wearing, I don't know about wearing a couple of hats tonight. Leaker and SKCA, so I'm sure there's some stuff that he has to tell us in terms of what Leaker is doing now that we have the headquarters here in St. Kitts, President and Secretary here in St. Kitts, because that's always been a bone of contention. Well, you know, it's centered in Antigua, and so Antigua gets all the credit.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Gara. In terms of Leaker, as you correctly said, the Leaker Secretary is now stationed here in St. Kitts. That the President is here, the Secretary is here, and the Treasurer, Mr. Sam Frank, is also here. Leaker, currently we operate out of the St. Kitts Association office. Unfortunately, a little higher than Jeffrey, we were promised office space. Today that has not materialized. I can say that Mr. Philip has been very supportive, but some people below you don't do what they're supposed to do. And that is holding back Leaker. For example, as I mentioned early on, the West Indies Cricket Board is establishing franchises in all 6 territorial boards, associations, island. Leakers there will be 15 players in each franchise. There'll be 10 protected players, which means they belong to you, nobody can touch those. And there'll be 5 players who can enter into a draft. So for example, if you have a player in Barbados who's not picked by Barbados, and if you can support improve the Leaker cricket, you can bring him into Leaker and vice versa.
I'm going to hold you there right now, because we did say we want to give the callers an opportunity to come in. Hello, caller. Welcome to the round table. Okay, that caller went away. So if you want to join us, it's 466-2666. And we have another call coming in. We're going to go ahead and take that one right now. Hello, caller, welcome. Hello, caller, welcome. Okay, we're not hearing that caller either. Caller, if you're not hearing us, give us a call back at 466-2666. We're on the round table. We're discussing sports development in the Federation. Do we still have that caller online? Good evening, caller, welcome. Good evening, caller. Okay, so we're going to hold on until we get that phone system sorted out, because we're not hearing anything. The callers are coming through. Go ahead, Mr. Robert.
The West Indies Cricket Board is paying $40,000 per month to pay these players. In addition to the players, there'll also be supportive staff. But there's certain prerequisites. One, we must have fully functioning office with the internet, computers, and the telephone facility. Unfortunately, we don't have that. Secondly,
okay, let's try this caller and see what happens. Caller, welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
Once again, kudos to ZIZ for continuing this program. I have been following it all the way through.
Thank you.
I am somewhat disappointed tonight after viewing the last one, in that we had a vibrant discussion with several sporting disciplines. But I'm somewhat disappointed that we didn't have
the person
from volleyball, so that we could have more sports being involved in discussion tonight. It seemed to me going in a one-way direction to cricket. I have nothing against cricket. I love cricket, but I just would have loved to, seen or heard other sporting disciplines give their views in their own areas. I think one of the things we have to instill in our children is discipline, and discipline doesn't have to always be, it must not always be in the way you execute yourself in playing the sport. Discipline must be looked at in terms of our facilities. We have facilities, but if they don't take ownership of them, the way you see the vandalism, the graffiti, everything else, if they don't take care of these facilities, which they want to use, which will help them to excel, then I think, we are going up a creek without a paddle, because it's like we're going 2 steps forward and 3 back. Because you can't play the game and be properly developed if you're not going to care the facilities you have, because they're there for you. So if you destroy them, how are you going to develop?
All right, Carla, thank you very much, and you made a very strong point there. Just to say, though, and I know I mentioned volleyball at the top, and the reason why Brenda is not here with us tonight. We made several calls, and I'm not sure whether or not anybody from the Basketball Association, basketball as well. We made several, countless attempts to reach the president of the Basketball Association unsuccessfully. And I apologize for that, because yes, that was the intention. Last time we had football, we had athletics, we had netball.
But the principles are the same.
Correct, and I agree with you, because we can spread the same thing that applies to cricket would apply to football.
She needs some gender balance.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Robert. While we wait on these calls, and again, you can call us at 466-2666 and join the discussion.
Yeah, as I was saying, there were certain prerequisites, the office space, which we do not have up to this point in time. In addition to that, both LICA and the association territory have to be incorporated. We are presently working on having LICA incorporated as well as the St. Kitts Cricket Association. And there's also a subsidiary company that's going to manage the franchise, the business aspect of LICA. Now, like I said, the Western Cricket Board is paying $40,000 per month to pay the salaries of the executive officer for the franchise, the marketing manager, the chief financial officer, a coach, an assistant coach, physio trainer, medical doctor, and a marketing manager. Now, the thing about the franchise has to be based in one territory. So that means the 15 players for the Leeward Islands thing, once we can get this office up and running and meet these prerequisites, will be based in St. Kitts. And you know what $40,000 per month will be passed to the economy of St. Kitts. In addition to that, when we host a match, a 4-day match, a regional match, the Western Cricket Board gives $35,000 to administer that match. Out of that, you have to pay the hotel accommodation. So what I'm saying, hotel rooms would probably been empty and now filled. For an international match, you don't have a set fee, but they give you a template for the match, and you have to fill in the blanks. Now, when you send it back, you may have to cut here and there. Correct. In addition to that, if you can manage the money properly, you may stand to make some money for your association. Mm-hmm. And through the effort of President Franks, in hosting the Under-19 West Indies tournament, this inclusion was able to make some money and get out of the red, which helped us to be able to fund our teams to the tournaments. And this cricket is very expensive. Just to give an idea that at the last tournament was aborted, to play in Nevis and go to Montserrat cost the St. Kitts over $23,000, and only 2 matches we played. It's a very expensive thing to administer. Yeah, sure. So you find when you host international matches, the teams stay in hotels. They'll be transported. And they go on the strip. They go here, they go there. I don't know where they go still. but they go. And this is the economy of St. Kitts. You understand? So I'm sure, I think the treasurer said that since we got the secretariat, over $2 million passed through the economy of St. Kitts. So there's that, and we sincerely hope that we can get the office space that was promised to us up and so we can have the secretary. Because if we don't, he's going to go back to Antigua.
Correct.
And we don't want that happening.
And that's a very important point. Takes us to the economic benefits or the economic force that is, provided to us by sports. I'm going to go to Pedro on this because, I mean, as the director of sports, I'm sure you must have seen some of the stuff that sports does. But before we do that, let's take this call. Again, the number is 466-2666, and you can join us in the conversation. Caller, welcome.
Yes, good night, and to all the panelists.
Good night.
The topic is very dear to my heart, and I couldn't resist calling, even though I figured the men on the panel are doing an excellent job. I just want to make one point, that in the sense that leadership is essential if you're going to be successful. And I go back from when I was a child. As a child at the Bastia High School, Edwin Glassford was the games master. I recall as a teenager having to train in the morning, and there were senior members in the team who had to understudy, had to take their boots, accompany them home, make sure they got home safely, get home, prepare for school, and get to school on time. That was part of the discipline of the team. Edwin Glassford was the games master, and we had that discipline and that development that took place then. The grammar school team, people used to say at the time that, it was said that sport is for dumb people. But all of the people who came to the grammar school team became successful people. Mary Hector, Nelson Bowie,
Junior Grant.
Teams, successful. Coming to the modern era, well, not before the modern era, at the Bastia High School as well, there was a man named Foss. Some Peace Corps that came from United States and some VSOs who came out of England, who were the key people who transformed sport in that era. Then, more recently, you go to the Washington Archibald High School, and you see people like Pedro, who is on the panel this evening. Before him was Al Jones. Leadership that transformed the school, that mobilized the school behind the sport and made them outstanding. You have to have people who can lead and motivate people to want to do well and to achieve. And I would pause there and leave it there for the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. I think Dr. Martin, you wanted to respond to something that he said. And we're going to get back to the economic discussion as it relates to sports.
There are two other examples I want to put on the table. Newton Ground Primary School has about 70, 80 students. Will never win the Rams Interprimary, but has produced a stable of 400 and 800 meter runners, and that stable has now fed into Charles E. Mills. What is it about Newton Ground Primary? They have a level 5 athletic coach, leadership. In 1990, Germany won the World Cup. By 2000, they were beaten by Portugal 3-0 in the preliminaries of the European Cup. What did Germany do? They tore up the book and started over with the Schweinsteigers and the others, Mullers and stuff like that. Plus 9 million euros, which is equivalent to about 12-13 million US dollars. Third in the 2006 World Cup, third in 2010. The coach was getting some stick for that. Champions in 2014. It's not an accident. Leadership, resources.
And resources is an important topic, Pedro.
Yes. Sports has a lot of money involved. You have to spend a lot to accomplish. But when you are successful, the gains are very, very, very high. Just coming out of this World Cup, and I did some research yesterday, each team that got knocked out in the preliminary round got 1.5 million. The champions, Germany, is leaving with 35 million.
They can pump that back
plus
in.
75 million is being shared amongst the clubs who had players represented at the World Cup.
Wow.
Look at the television rights. Television rights bring in a lot of monies.
Tell me about it.
So, once you are doing the correct things, you have the good leadership, you aren't vandalizing the facilities, and the caller made a very important point, because if you have good facilities, well-maintained facilities, and the government will spend almost $45,000 monthly to maintain these facilities. But when you go, there's graffiti there, graffiti here, and I tell the turf managers, when you see a piece of graffiti there, take the paint and paint it out. You can't allow these people to get the best of you. Show them fight. Your fight is to take it out. So when people hear that in St. Kitts we have this Jumbotron, a nice turf in the Pam Tyson netball complex, or even on the football facility, the stadium, Silver Jubilee Stadium, they're going to want to come here to St. Kitts. And when they come, they bring that foreign investment that is very good for our economy.
Yes, and I will agree with Pedro 110%. And from this podium, I would like personally for every citizen in the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis to really, where they see anyone doing any damages to our facilities in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, to put an end to it once and for all, and perpetrators should be dealt in the most severe manner, law-wise. And I would like to place that on record, that any citizen seeing any person in St. Kitts and Nevis destroying any facility,
it's public property,
public property, to severe punishment by law should be carried out. But for the government role in sports development, none of us at the round table have touched that aspect for tonight, and I would like to touch it to an extent, but quite briefly. In any direct foreign investment, there should be a budget for social development. Then the government will decide how it is spent or allocated. For example, when a company A comes in, and if it was they had negotiations with government and they got certain benefits, for example, duty-free concessions, tax exemption, then they in turn should give back something. Because for development, we have to speak about money. And anything concerning development, we have to find out where are some of these resources are going to come from, in also enhancing the future development for sports in the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis. And I think the government will have a particular role to play in that aspect. And that is my view in terms of a government role, because monies have to be found, and for us going forward too in terms of development.
Well, don't forget, callers, that you can still call us and
everybody paused because you was talking about government.
Well, nobody touched it. So
I think the government's role is very important.
Well, government's role, I mean, that is just...
Go ahead,
let me first of all place on record the SKC's appreciation for what the government does for cricket. For example, the ministry under Minister Philip and Pedro here has not mandated that in terms of the preparation of the pitch for weekend matches, the grounds will be prepared during the normal work day and handed over to us on Friday afternoon at no cost to the association. Hitherto, we had to pay $75 per groundsman for preparing the pitch. which was very costly. If we need them on Saturday, Sunday, that's already between us and them. So the ministry makes a contribution to cricket in that way. To come on to what Victor said, I have a slightly different slant to that, in that funding is important. And the different associations will try to raise funds for themselves. But eventually, the island is small and you go to the same business people for money. By the time you get there, all the money that budgeted for sponsorship is gone. So you're left high and dry. They cannot come back next year. But, you know, recently, I think in Barbados, the Lotto, I think, funds a lot of sport development in Barbados.
And Jamaica.
In St. Vincent.
And Jamaica.
What I'm saying, as a matter of fact, the SKC wrote to the minister, asking him if there was any truth in the fact that when the Lotto was set up here, that some part of the money was to go towards the sport development. We have not heard anything about it from that. But what I'm saying, O'Gara, that if the government, if they get a tax from the Lotto, and they were to even give half of 1% of that into a fund on a monthly basis, that money can put in a fund, administered by the Department of Sports, and allocated to the different associations as they have to send teams to compete internationally or regionally internationally. Because I'll tell you something, the cost of competing in regional matches is very, very expensive. If you're alone, you cannot make it. You cannot make it. So I feel that if there be one way to help to fund sports, half of 1% they put in. For example, I heard, I don't know if there's any truth in it, that the SADF gave the NOC $1 million. But cricket, which is not an Olympic sport, get nothing. So only for Olympic sport you get something from that. But we get cricket and nothing, so we have to fend for ourselves. You understand?
But I'm not sorry for cricket.
Well, I'm sorry.
Hold on. Because you know we can't be quibbling over handouts. Okay, the cricket is a traditional sport, and okay, you fell off the skids. You're trying to come back on the skids. Yeah. All right. Cricket, local cricket has a channel to the West Indies Cricket Board. The West Indies Cricket Board appears to be willing to work with local cricket once you are organized, and that is what I heard. That's what I heard you said this evening. Once you are organized, the Alan Stanford model of organized. We heard it before. Stanford tried to organize the associations in these islands as around a business model. So what is being attempted now is not new. It's just for. I believe the mindset has to change. I can't believe that a civil servant is holding back Lika from getting an office.
Right. No,
that can't be. That can't be right.
Let me say it. We were promised office space. No, just listen to me. We were promised, and I'm not hitting Pedro.
Put up a tent now, man. Let's start something.
Chad, you must be promised. We were promised when decision made.
That's the start.
When the decision made to locate the secretariat here, we were promised office space.
Suppose it doesn't happen.
Hold on. The space that was identified for us was now reoccupied by the Minister of Sport because that problem where they were. That is gone. We've been promised another location, so we wait to see that materialize. I mean, Pedro has been very, very helpful. There's no doubt about that. But in Antigua.
Yeah, begging too much.
No, hold on. It's not begging. In Antigua, the government of Antigua has allocated space in Savilion Regional Stadium for Lika. The CEO operates out of that. But we want a secretariat here in St. Kitts. So and the prerequisite that we must have functioning secretariat. And in terms of economic benefit, O'Gara, since Lika has been stationed, we've been able to put at least one young lady in the office. Now, with the incorporation of Lika and the setting up of the subsidiary company, and that's Patrick, which will know Patrick market the Lika. They do look for 6 parts, you look fundraising, so Lika would not be dependent on the West Indies board. For example, the West Indies board gives them $60,000 to the association, but has to take care of all the teams and that kind of thing, everything. You understand? So what I'm saying, let me give you another thing. For example, the New Zealand women team is touring the Caribbean shortly. They want to come here on the 2nd of September and set up a 6-day camp before the matches. we couldn't give certain guarantees. And what do you think happened? They come again, they say in Antigua. That hotel room's gone, people who do catering gone, that type of thing. You know what I'm talking about? So unless we can have this functioning office, we stand to lose more. If he can, I'm going to finish there. If he cannot provide WCB with these prerequisites that are required in terms of the office space, what do you think? The franchise won't be based here again. You have 15 players, they must be based in St. Kitts. People are going to get the houses rented. People are going to be catering for them, cooking. They can put money in the economy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the ministry is very helpful, but things have to be done in a timely manner. And when you deal with international association, there's a timeline set for you. And if you made a timeline to move and go elsewhere.
But Vic, I know you want to come in on this topic, but we're gonna. My producer is telling me that we have to take a break, so we're gonna take a break and we're gonna come right back on the round table.
But
guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Who that? Pinocchio?
But the surprise is what's an entertainment life. Can't improvise cause there's so much inside. So fashion is style, word on the street will make you smile. People show youth awareness, interest in just fashion closet, and many more that you cannot resist. For young and old, it's not my show, that's how we roll. People show, now everybody tune in on time on Wednesdays at 9.
The continued prosperity of our nation rests on a healthy and vibrant workforce. The Ministry of Health has been vigilant and persistent in its efforts to provide first-class medical care to all. Over the past decade, we have seen enhanced treatment services, physical improvements in neighborhood health centers, a state-of-the-art medical facility at Sandy Point, and through partnerships, the establishment of an eye care clinic and the recent opening of the dialysis treatment unit at the Joseph N. Franz General Hospital. Led by a dedicated team of caring health professionals who encourage prevention and healthy lifestyles, the Ministry of Health has taken the lead in promoting healthy persons, healthy families, and healthy communities. And we are making a better St. Kitts and Nevis.
Want to get the latest news and information on demand? Check out ZIZonline.com. Our website is updated daily to bring you all the latest local, regional, and international news. Gone abroad and miss home? Check out ZIZonline.com for our live streams and uploaded local content. We're also on Facebook. Like our page and receive photos, info, and updates directly on your newsfeed. Living on the go? Then our new mobile website can work for you. Visit ZIZonline.com and get all the information you need on your phone's browser. ZIZonline.com, reaching you wherever you are.
Okay, well, I just wish that you could be here during the breaks to hear the discussion that we're talking about. And I mean, I want to throw my 2 cents in as well to when it comes to the economic benefits of sports in such a way. I mean, we see that at ZIZ here as the major media organization in St. Kitts and Nevis. We see that as very important as well. Now, when we told people that, hey, I mean, you know, CPL cost us $1,000 last year because it was in the initial season to buy the rights. I mean, some people are asking us if we're crazy. How are you crazy for 2014? Why are you crazy enough to purchase it at the initial cost that was, I mean, you know, given to us at $30,000 for the broadcast rights to broadcast these games in St. Kitts? As you notice, we started to broadcast them last week, so we negotiated it down, but we had to find the money from some place. So I'm going to use this forum to say, if you're out there and you have a special product that you want all the crazy CPL cricket fans to see, just give us a call here at ZIZ.
Did you say that you negotiated it down? I think that's with all due respects to my friend, that's a wonderful way. You have got to negotiate with respect. Stop complaining about what you don't have. You have to negotiate You have to make some offers. You put up a tent. Ask the Olympic Association committee. If they have a room that you can rent for a couple of months while you get your act together. I think that's what you. Otherwise, you'll just be saying what you don't have, and that's to me is. I don't want to appear to be too hypercritical, but I think we have gone past that stage now, because I get the sense that the international organizations are a bit impatient with local sporting bodies that are not prepared to be forthcoming, organized, in the way in which they do their business locally.
Okay, let's take this call, and callers, you are still welcome to join us at 466-2666. Caller, good evening. Welcome to the round table.
Good evening.
Yes.
I'm listening, and from what I'm hearing, nearly appears from what you say is sport self-development when it comes to the clubs and even association level. There may be a management problem and organizational problem, so to speak. I'm not sure how you all look at it, but the technical, I'm not sure if all these associations have like a technical director or someone that deals with technical aspects, and if not, more than you say, if that might help. If you look at, let's say, how Australia and so on were able to overcome the West Indies thing from a technical aspect, they start to study West Indies. So it boils down to, maybe if a technical person or persons get inside there, we could see some change in development in local sports in St. Kitts Davis. And to a certain extent, they're saying to the West Indies, the higher levels like regional associations. However, with that said, persons are involved, and therefore a change of thinking has to come involved as well. Because the persons who are actually involved in the sport, they do not see what benefits going to come. Doesn't matter what management or technical directors do, they might have a problem. So I'm just wondering if thought process for the person involved, that could be a factor as well in what you're seeing. For example, cricket, yes, I really want to push it. I think it's a lead. To a certain extent, Nevis might have the edge. Strategic planning, deal with what you have for interesting, because there appears to be a decline interest in cricket, for cricket in St. Kitts. I don't know why, but I guess maybe these are some of the observations, but at the end of the day, it boils down to changes of thinking, person to see the importance of sports. That's much.
All right, thank you very much, caller. And as I said, you can still join us. We got 20 minutes to go in this show. And I think some very important points about leadership, management, the management structure. And I think that some of our sports in St. Kitts has, shown that can be done, and it has to be done. And then we do have some dedicated people as well who have gone out and made a name for themselves. We talk about the Kayambas and some of the other guys who are playing professional football. Right now. And I know we're talking about management. We have another call. Let's go ahead and take this call and see what the caller has to say. Caller, welcome.
A very pleasant good evening, panel.
Good evening.
This is my first time that I'm tuning in to the program. Since West Indies have not been doing all that well, and my game is cricket, I turn to something else. So on Monday night I look at wrestling. So when your program is on,
I've never, but tonight I didn't start it early. When there was a wrestling break, I tuned in, so it sounded interesting to me. I want to zoom in on something that Dr. Martin said earlier concerning those who do not play on a certain day. And I could say this because of my personal background, in the sense that that needs to be looked at deeper than what came off, in the sense that if we tailor it down, that goes down to a certain tribe of people in the religious circle, and that has to do with evangelicals, because those are the ones who would not be playing on a particular day, whatever day it is. Now, personally, when I was playing cricket, and I dug out the cricket pretty young, and I was good at it. I was just ready to make the first class side, and I stopped because I got involved in church. And people thought it was church that got me out of the cricket. But in truth and in fact, I have not gone into Warner Park over 50 years to watch a cricket match or anything of that nature, because in the early days of my church connection, I didn't want to make it look like, hey, I'm doing something wrong because I go to watch cricket or play cricket, but internally, inside of me, I knew there was nothing wrong with it, because I knew what cricket was doing for me and how I felt about it. But when I became a leader in church, I never discouraged anybody from not going, because it was my own feeling. So sometimes it depends on who the leader is and what they believe in terms of sport and church. So I personally never discourage anybody from not going to the cricket and not going to the football. I preach about it because I had a conviction that there was nothing wrong with playing on a Sunday, because it was a game that was healthy. But it goes beyond that. And I think it goes to the fact that in those days, those early churches were building their congregation, and what they believed touched on the days in which they worshipped. But I am seeing a trend now change. There is a new change now, and a lot of the younger people now who are part of the evangelical church movement, they are playing on a Sunday now, and there is no fuss about it. So I think by and by some of the older folks who had that tight is letting go. So I feel like there is hope in that. But it only goes to the evangelical people, and there are some other things behind that. So I would say that you need to look at that even more, because of the other facets. We don't have time to talk about that. One of the last thing I want to touch is that about cricket. Well, cricket is my game. For cricket, going and play and bat and bowl and field, there is more to it than that. And in our St. Kitts, one of the things that I have a concern about is I feel like the level of our commentating has a lot to do with the advancement of our cricket as well. Because if you want people to be interested and listen to you, and we talking to other people about our cricket and telling them and they listening to us, I think the standard of our commentating needs to be lifted a great deal. And I think we need a cadre of people whom we can collect and group up and say, listen, we need to do something to make this thing better. I leave you with that, and I listen to hear what you have said. But
you coming back to commentate?
I think the caller is on right now. But anyway, we want to thank the caller for the important contribution. And callers, we still do have some time, so you can join us at 466-2666. I think, the first part, I think we kind of, went over that already. The second part about the commentary, and I think not just only in cricket, but in most of our disciplines, and I think that, there's a definite point in that. Vic, I don't know if you have something to say since you've elevated to the new role of comments personality.
Well, the thing is, in not just in cricket, because I'm more renowned in cricket, but I also do netball coverage too, and the OECS deaths in the OECS countries, that also too has to be a consideration for reconstruction, because we learned that over 2 decades that the OECS games were not held, but I think it was the Olympic committees that came together and really struck sequence towards reigniting and reconstructing the OECS. So that too is high on the agenda, because for all tournaments there should always be a criteria that persons should meet before they go to the media and do coverage, because you must have a good understanding of the rules of the game that you are describing about, and not just cricket.
Okay, Vic, we're going to take, we have another call that we're going to take. We're getting close to wrap up. Caller, go ahead. Welcome to the round table.
Yes, thank you very much for welcoming me. I want to say I'm really happy that you, Mr. O'Gara, has really moved ZIZ up another notch by having these round-table discussions and conversations. I want to say that I've been looking at these round-table conversations over the period, and I have seen Dr. Martin, I have seen Victor, I have seen you yourself and others on the program. So you've been having programs. What is the end result? What is the end? Where are we going with it? Are we going to have a policy? I'm not here. I'm looking at it. It is sport. It is not just cricket alone. It is football. It is netball. All of it. The sports personnel there from the government. Do we have a policy going forward? What it is? People are talking about budget. People are talking about different things for different sports. The Ministry of Sports, is it coordinating all the sporting health coming together to make sure that we could get a policy and get something going forward? These are things that we need to see. Someone spoke about money in terms of lottery. I heard it in a football meeting the other day. Can all of the bodies come together to sit down to iron out those things? I believe that if our sport is going forward, the Ministry of Sports and the coordinator of the sporting activities must be able to put something together to carry forward to whoever is at the top. This is what I want to see done. Every time we have a round table and a discussion, and we're talking good things, but after we reach 10 o'clock or 10:30 in the night, where it goes? Nowhere or somewhere. We need to develop the policy or the plan of action in order to help our young sportsmen and women in St. Kitts. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Carla, and thank you very much, Carla, I should say. And we appreciate the fact that you've, continued to listen to the program. And just before I let Pedro jump in on this one, I wanted to say that, this is a journey, and we're not going to come to the end of the journey in maybe 5 or 6 editions of the program. And just to reiterate, the senior sports officer who was present with us on the last program did say, of course, that the sports department, the government, Ministry of Sports is all heading towards sports policy, which we've never had in St. Kitts. Pedro, I'm sorry that I have to cut you there, but I'm going to take this next caller and then we'll bring you in after. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the round table.
Very pleasant evening to you, sir, and to your panel.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to make a brief contribution with respect to the development of the various sporting disciplines. if we look at lawn tennis, for instance, there are quite a number of lawn tennis courts throughout St. Kitts, around St. Kitts, and some of the other islands in the OECS would really envy the number of courts there are in St. Kitts. But when we look at the state of those courts, I think the local authorities need to revive lawn tennis. Lawn tennis, as we know, is a major sport worldwide, and they need to put an active or functioning lawn tennis association in place and source funds from the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, through the local Olympic committee. So you can reconstruct the various lawn tennis courts around the island. They really need a facelift. And I believe that if that is done, you can have more interest being revived in the sport of lawn tennis, and you can get more people playing that sport. You also have the local Table Tennis Association trying their best to revive that sport. And that is a sport that can be introduced in the various schools, whether it's primary schools, high schools. And in so doing, I would like to suggest that all the local sporting associations get more proactive and do more to push sports throughout the island. Because we have so much violence and crime and so forth. I believe that if you have more sports, you can have the youth channeling their energies, their skills, their abilities in the various sports. And with respect to cricket, a lot of people may say that no Kittitian has ever represented the West Indies. A Kittitian has played Test cricket, but for England, not for the West Indies. We have a lot of grounds all over the place. I think the Cricket Association, they need to do more and have the local cricket league going and have the local cricketers playing more cricket and get people more interested in cricket. Now we have the CPL that will really inject some more interest in the sport of cricket, and we can eventually see a Kittitian playing for the West Indies someday. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Pedro, we're going to go to you before we start wrapping up.
The caller prior spoke about the national sports policy. Yes, we at the Department of Sports, we are working in collaboration with the University of Canberra in Australia to craft our national sports policy. Yes, there was something done in 1993 or 1996, and it wasn't tabled in Parliament. Right. And so we took it upon ourselves and said, hey, we need to have a national sports policy here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And some of the things that we are discussing tonight, funding, National Sports Council, all of these things we hope to bring out in the policy. At the department, we're doing a lot of things. I say those persons who were there before us, they have done a lot of good things. What we're doing right now is to build the sites. So we've just launched our new logo. We're trying to make the department similar to a business. So we've launched a logo. We have launched a Facebook page to give some more mileage to what we're doing. Hopefully next month or two we'll be launching our website. We've just created a database that would have all of the information. For example, Atiba Harris, his information from primary school up until now would be captured. So if you want that information, let's say you have been targeted by a professional team and he wants that information, you can come to the department and get that information. So that's something that we are doing. The caller just mentioned about the lawn tennis and the need to revive lawn tennis and the state of our facilities, especially the tennis courts and basketball courts, netball courts. And some of them have become white elephants because we're not using them. We have so much sporting facility per capita, and we're not using them. For various reasons, they become white elephants. And I agree, definitely, we need to pay a lot more attention to them. We have spoken to our tennis coordinator, Ms. Lourdes Francis, in the department to help us to organize a national tennis championship. I can't recall having a national tennis championship since the day of the Davis Cup championship that were held at the Warner Park complex. And so, in an effort to bring back tennis, because there's no functioning tennis association, the department thinks that it is best for us to organize. So is a cycling competition. You know, we see a lot of cyclists traveling leisurely around the island. We have a lot of young men and young women with bicycles, and we need to capture them as well. So I hope I'm not blowing my horn tonight, but we are going to have a cycling competition around Bastia, and you know, put a little bit of spin on it to have stunts, some sort of stunts, freestyle activity. And so, but you know, we're doing our little bit. It's taking some time, but at the end of the day, we hope to accomplish many things in that short space of time that we have.
Good. Well, hopefully we'll see some yellow jackets here in St. Kitts going up to Brimstone Hill. Anyway, we're 5 minutes away from wrapping up for tonight. But Vic, you had something that you wanted to put in. We can
quickly
consider this your
quickly, Mr. Garrow, with your permission, I didn't get the opportunity earlier to strike the gender balance about the female cricket upliftment in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, because there is a West Indies female team, and you will first have to feature a team into the regional competition if players from St. Kitts and Nevis would be getting close. Or
so you're saying that since we can't get a man in?
No. Well, we have to look for alternatives. But to strike the gender balance, though, I would like to see something happen for the females in cricket in St. Kitts and Nevis, and so even whereby St. Kitts and Nevis then might possibly be able to enter into a regional competition as a federation. I do not know what will be the sanctions of the West Indies board for that considerations, or if it will have to be a Leeward Islands team going into a regional series. But I think for now it is Islands who competes in the female aspect of it, and go on to represent the West Indies females, and they have been doing very good under the stewardship of Sherwin Campbell of Barbados as their coach, and they must be congratulated. Not too much has been said at this table about the ladies, but I thought in bringing in that, so Mr. Jeffers, probably you can carry that as one of the things towards LICA, or the local St. Kitts Cricket Association, and Nevis, and to also remember the revival of the Beryl Howell Trophy. And as Pedro gave some information that there will be a series of matches, so don't forget the female aspect.
If I can wrap up now, just very quickly, two things I want to highlight. One is that about 3 weeks ago, the CEO of the Windward Islands Cricket Board, the president of the Windward Islands Cricket Board, who's also the current vice president of the West Indies Cricket Board, our president, Mr. Hector, and our CEO from Leeward Islands, met with the Governor Central Bank. And their plans are for the Central Bank to involve with our youth tournaments. That's on the 19th down to on the 15th. But it's been done on a sub-regional level. And it's done on a big scale because the involvement of the OECS Sports Department involved in the execution of this thing. So we're looking at our young people in terms of elevating them in getting them interested in cricket. So you may have inter-island sport between the Windward against, you know, like some years ago, you had the grammar school from Windward playing those against Leeward, and that means looking to get that kind of thing back in where young people can get involved in cricket. And the following Victor's point, just to tell the general public that after the CPL, there's cricket.
Yes.
There's cricket. We have Bangladesh playing the West Indies on the 25th in a 50-over match.
We could beat them.
In a 50-over match, it's going to be a day-night match.
Starting at what time possibly?
That's going to start about 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
And then on the 27th, there's going to be a 2020 match against the West Indies.
Correct.
In addition to that, on the 12th, 14th, and 17th, we have New Zealand versus West Indies being played here. Those are going to be 50 over matches. I think those are going to be day matches.
That will be September?
September, yeah. As Patrick said, in the middle of hurricane season.
Well, he's right, and we're brave.
The West Indies team is going to be coming on, I think, on the 29th to set up and practice. So you're going to get some money being put into the economy. New Zealand should be here before, but because of certain information we weren't able to provide, they won't be coming again. They come on the 6th. So there's female cricket. Lika is looking at the development of local women cricket in the sub-region and the Leeward Islands. I think there's a new cricket director in the West Indies Cricket Board, Richard Previs. Yes. I know he has set on a new schedule altogether for development of West Indies cricket, which comes out with this professional franchises. In that the West Indies cricket is now going to be, instead of one, we're going to be 2 rounds of matches. And more than that, let me say this. Up to this season, you could only play first-class matches in test venues. So when only St. Kitts and Antigua in the Leewards could have host for their first-class matches. The West Indies have now eased those restrictions. And there's certainly minimal standards with each territory must now meet, so that Nevis, Anguilla, Montserrat can now, want to meet the minimum standards, can now host first-class cricket. Okay. So we're expanding it a bit more from what it used to be. So that those islands can now see first-class cricket once again, want to meet the minimum standards in addition to St. Kitts and Antigua.
Okay, that's very important development for our cricket. And that, I think, where our producer is really giving me a lot of signals over there. So I'm going to let you say your last piece, then we go to Pedro, and we'll wrap it up for the night.
Well, thank you very much again for inviting me to this deliberative roundtable. This is not a policy steering committee, so it's very clear what the mission of this activity is.
It is a journey.
I like the point made by a caller that commentary is marketing. And so that means that ZIZ has to be very
selective,
deliberative about that, because the person.
Well, when we get the rights, like we are with the CPL, and we are accommodating Grand Slam, which is Andrew Mason and his team, and we're going to be utilizing some of the local guys as well. So we're going to start the revolution there.
Okay, it's clear that the most successful sports organizations in this country have people in their leadership who understand business and who have a passion for volunteerism. So going forward, in terms of sports development, we have to be sure that we elect the round pegs and put them in the round holes, which means, to me, deliberately putting business people who have passion and energy into the leadership of sports organizations. Sports development, it's a test match, it's not a 2020 game. I am impressed with the leadership work being done in the sports department. People are there multitasking, juggling a lot of issues in a 24-hour day and still have to look after their families. But I think it's time to take some of the pressure off the sports department, and this is where the National Sports Council comes in. The National Sports Council will be, because it must happen, will be the broad societal implementing arm of national sports policy. And that is the next level to which we have to go to. And we should get there within 3 to 5 years, judging on the timetable that the sports department has set for itself. Thank you very much for the invitation to the deliberative roundtable.
Thank you very much, Dr. Martin. We're going to go to Pedro as we wrap up.
Indeed, it was a pleasure for me to be here this evening to participate in the discussion. I'll be able to come back again to continue, because tonight is not the end, it's only the beginning of what's to come. In our society, we must change our mindset totally on the development of sports, and this must be done by all of the stakeholders. It cannot be done today, it's a work in progress and would lead to that change tomorrow. So at the sports department, we find that we need to do a lot more to have people in tune to sports and to pay homage to those who would have contributed. And as such, I think it's about time. The time is now for us to implement our National Sports Awards and the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And that is in its planning stage right now. And as well, our strategic development plan, which is something different to our national sports policy, that would be done for the next 10, 15 years, Mission 2025. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, guys. Beyond being an economic force in itself, sport is also a potential catalyst for economic development. A physically active population is a healthier population, improving the productivity of the workforce and increasing economic output. Sports and physical activity also provide one of the most cost-effective forms of preventative medicine with the potential to dramatically cut healthcare costs. That's more from the United Nations Task Force. As we say good night from another round table, thank you for joining us. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, St. Kitts. Good evening, Nevis.
It is a historic moment for St. Kitts and Nevis.
Special good night to those radio listeners, those viewing on television, and those following us via the internet.
And one of the things that I would like to see established is
Superstars celebrating its 10th.
Was
at 4:30 p.m. on